Welcome to the Binding Mind podcast. My name is Lorenzo Salazar.
And I'm Ian Spector. Let's jump in.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hey Binding Minders. Since we don't have any sponsorships, today's episode, and every episode until we get a sponsorship, is going to be brought to you by Ian's Interesting Facts. Scientifically speaking, strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries aren't berries, but watermelons, bananas, and avocados are. Don't ask me why. I just sell print and co-host a podcast. Y'all enjoy today's episode.
You gotta ask the big guy next door to you to see. I was like, all right, perfect. Well, then I'm not the only one who doesn't know, and I don't want to butcher it. And he'd be like, I do work for y'all, and you still don't know what my last name is. How dare y'all?
I'm serious. I just told Ian, I was like, we literally have family friends of 20 years or more, and they go, oh yeah, the Rosman showed up. We're like, yep, we're here. So
okay. Well, in all fairness, the E wasn't there, so I was like, well, maybe it's Rosman, but Rosman it is, and it's a new last name. It reads out as Rosman, but Rosman is. I actually said Roseman to begin with.
You did.
And I think it was Ian who was like, there's not an E there, so I think it's Rosman. In school growing up, would they butcher it?
Oh yeah, always.
At least it wasn't your first name.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and at least it's English. They know. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Binding Mind podcast. Our guest today currently serves as a VP for Oklahoma Youth Expo. Help me introduce JD Rosman.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Perfect.
Should I do that again, Ian?
No.
I should probably do that again. No, yeah, I need to do that again.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Thanks for being
a fitting way to introduce me. That's absolutely true, and it's every time. It's perfect. So.
Well, we just talked through it for several minutes, and I still. JD Rosman, JD, thank you so much for joining us today. We're super glad to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And first and foremost, your logo is super cool. So
yeah, we dig it.
I can take zero credit for that. That was before my time here, but this will never ever change. So as long as I'm here, we will never do a rebrand. So,
well, if you have any extra larges and then mediums for Lorenzo of anything laying around,
go with medium. Don't do me like that. But for those of you who are not seeing this on video, it's OYE and it's creating a cow. It's super, super cool, and it's embroidered on his jacket, so it looks really, really cool, man. That's a really cool logo.
It's funny, when we moved offices in 2020, we built a new office here on the fairgrounds, and we found a box full of some old stuff that from back in the early 2000s, and we found the old logo designs on like the matte black cards and whatnot that the designer had brought. And it's funny because it was 100% like he designed this, he knew this was the one, and then he designed like 2 or 3 others that there was no way they were going to make the cut kind of a deal, because he's like, you have to pick this one and it's the only way to go. So it was kind of cool to see that. And we were like, could you imagine if we were dumb enough to pick that one, like one of those other ones and not this? Like we would not have the brand today that we do. So
it just flows so well, and for somebody, and the thing is, automatically it is a cow, and then after a while, people will look at it and they're like, "Oh wait, OYE's within that image." So great,
yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, great job to whoever selected that.
Yeah, but we need to track him down a little bit. So,
well, to learn more about you, I mean, how did your journey come about to the OYE?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Eastern Washington. I grew up on a wheat and cattle operation with my dad and uncle there, and then showed cattle and just kind of made a lot of friends through that show industry, through the cattle industry, and landed up at Oklahoma State there and got an ag comm degree there at OSU. And so just kind of ran with that whole that group of friends that we all were from across the nation. And then after school, I went to work for the American Angus Association for a little short stint. and then worked in agency life at an ag agency. Did a lot of photography, videography. That was kind of my bread and butter for a while there, and then had the opportunity. Kind of always had the itch to come back to Oklahoma. No offense to anybody in Missouri, but I just wasn't really feeling like a good second home at the moment, and so I moved back down here to Oklahoma. Had a chance to work at OYE, and then kind of the rest is history. So that was 2018 when I got back down here, and not planning on leaving anytime soon. That's for sure. So,
well, I know a big inspiration that you brought to OYE is it touches on your photography. Was that something that one day you were just like, hey, I'm just going to take some photos of certain things, and then people just really gravitated towards the imagery? Or how old were you when you started taking photographs?
I really didn't start until maybe like my senior year of high school. My aunt and uncle actually they run a marketing agency back home, and my uncle is a really talented photographer. Like he's completely self-taught, very, very, just very skilled, and like has never met a challenge that he can't take. Like he just kind of, and so I did a little bit with them, shot a little bit there, and then I had an internship in college at a local TV station in Stillwater, and so we kind of shot a lot there, and that's where I got my start. And then shot with Angus, and just kind of, I don't know, just kind of kept doing it, interned a lot, and that was kind of where my internships all landed, were kind of with a camera in hand and whatnot. So that was, I hate being in front of a camera. I hate my voice.
I'm same here. Same.
Like, it's terrible.
You're in a good group.
So are you the type that your wife says, hey, let's take this photo for Instagram, and you're just, in the minutes that shot's about to come in, you have the dull face, and the shot comes in, the smile appears, and then goes back to dull?
It's kind of funny because we really are terrible. Like we go on trips or something to get my wife and I, and we're both like, oh, we got like no pictures of each other. We took all these other pictures, but we didn't take anything of each other. Like it's yeah, we're both kind of that same of like, let's just be behind the camera. It's just a little bit easier that way. So,
well,
that's
and
awesome.
Well, and through that work, I mean, you went on to develop Rosman Enterprises. So what was the inspiration for you were you just like, man, I know I'm good. I'm getting a lot of requests. I'm just going to go ahead and venture out and do my own thing. How did that come about?
It was all opportunity. There was never like a moment of like, oh yeah, I'm going to like start my own business and this is what I'm going to do, like kind of a thing. Like I honestly, in the fall of 2018 was when I was moving back to Oklahoma, and knew that there was the opportunity with OYE, and that I had that job to be able to work full time here with them, and had some goals to grow our marketing, grow our communications department here and whatnot. But then there was also opportunities to be able to go do work for other clients and whatnot too within that. And so I actually got to start. My first client was actually Allflex USA, which is now under the Merck Animal Health umbrella and whatnot. But I had a family friend, wow, Scott Holt, who he judged with my dad in college, judged livestock with my dad in college. And he called me one day that fall and he goes, hey, I know you're good with a camera. We need to do some feature videos and get some photos. Do you want to be our guy? And I'm like, 24 years old, going, Scooter, like, I've known you for a long time, but like you don't, like, you've got the wrong number. Like I'm not gonna do, like, I don't know. He's like, no, we need to go shoot this. We're gonna go do this. We've got 3 or 4 shoots lined up this next year. Do you want to do it? It's yours if you want it. And so that's how we started. So 2019, we went on our first shoot with Allflex, and then we've just kind of grown since then. So now today we've got almost 20 clients that we work with, everything from local state organizations all the way to, we had a shoot with the Allflex global team this last year. So we kind of touch a little bit of everything, but all ag and rural client focus. So,
and that's so cool. I think how organic that started, and then, but also something that you saw it as not a one-off. That's marketing business minded at its core. You're like, hey, you mean I can do this for more than just Allflex?
Yeah. Well, and it's just kind of, I don't know. I mean, everything that's kind of happened is just, it's been word of mouth, and we're just lucky. We went from it was just me to now we've got a team of 5 of us plus some other contractors and whatnot. But it all was just out of opportunity and necessity of like all of a sudden I had too much that I couldn't keep up with it. And I called, I've got one of my right hand, or Caroline, we went to school together, and I called her one day on the way back from a shoot, and I realized that I had a social media client that I didn't have anything scheduled for. And it was the day before, it was like the 30th, and I needed to have a whole month scheduled out and whatnot. And I called her. I'm like, what's it going to take for you to just do this for me? Because I'm on the road for a week and I don't have anything built. Like, how can we work this out? And then now I think we run like 18 clients social media right now or something like that.
Wow.
So that's all awesome. Her and now our team of 5 that kind of are able to do that. So it's all opportunity, and I don't know, we're just trying to not put it in the ditch. So that's kind of
dude, that is super cool. I'd like to come back to OIE a little bit. I know Lorenzo and I did quite a bit of research on OIE, but one thing that we're very aware of is that like your current team didn't create OIE to be what it is. I know that's probably a very vague statement for people who don't know anything about what you do, but I wanted to see if you could share with us how that initial idea started with OIE and when even.
Yeah.
So, and real quick to that, for our listeners who don't know with OIE, do you mind explaining a little bit of what that entails so they get full understanding?
Absolutely, yeah. So OYE is the Oklahoma Youth Expo. Today we are actually the world's largest junior livestock show. So we have every March we've got 11 days now. It used to be 10. We had to grow to 11. But we have over 7,600 kids from Oklahoma that are in 4-H and FFA who bring cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, and now ag mechanics projects to Oklahoma City and are able to compete for that champion spot. And so they work year-round on these projects, work year-round with these animals, and are able to come. And this is kind of their pinnacle moment of the year of their show career. And so OIE started, OIE's had a couple different names over the years, but in 1915 it started as, I believe it was the Oklahoma Spring Livestock Show. And that was back, they used to host it here in the National Stockyards here in Oklahoma City. So it was very much that old school, like black and white photos of everybody bringing their little short stubby cows that stand as tall as a dog kind of a deal. But it was a chance for them to display their genetics, and that was where people made breeding decisions and whatnot. And so over the years it's grown, and just like any organization that's 100+ years old, you have great times and you have times of struggle and everything. And so I believe in the 90s it was kind of volunteer run, and it was just like any kind of volunteer organization. It just kind of was struggling a little bit. There wasn't the support from the state. There wasn't the support from just the financial support that there needed to be to make this really thrive. And so in the late 90s, early 2000s, Bob Funk and Jimmy Harrell came together. They're two big Oklahoma kind of icons, especially in the ag industry. They came together and said, hey, we need to make this be what it can be. Oklahoma is a huge ag state. We've got the support. We know we've got the kids. Let's make agriculture. Let's make this big for Oklahoma. And so they came together and they formed OYE as a 501c3. So we are a standalone organization, nonprofit organization, which was really the first of its kind in the livestock sector. Most livestock shows are all tied to a state agency or tied to a specific fairgrounds or whatnot. And we've kind of become a model for other shows because we could take our show and go anywhere in the world with it, which was kind of really unique, especially during COVID and whatnot. So, which gets us into a whole different deal. But over the years, they built it. They got the support. They got the financial support. They brought in the right people and started a staff in 2001, I believe. And we've grown it to be what it is today. It is the world's largest junior livestock show with thousands and thousands of kids and parents and FFA teachers and extension agents who come together for 11 days in March. So,
dude, it is something to see. Part of me wants to come up and see it in person. I mean, y'all do spend a little bit of time and search OIE on YouTube. They do a great job of spotlighting their kids that show, but more than that, like the videos of like the final ceremony with, I mean, fireworks and the rigging coming down with the trophies and the limo and everyone getting their LeBron moment coming out. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, and
Gritty dances coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think the three of us could do the gritty to save our life.
Oh, no.
Not a chance.
No, I can try, but not say I can accomplish it. So it's two different things.
Yeah, I'll do something. Just won't be the gritty.
And I know you've mentioned this you mentioned to us before that you all are a young team, which, I believe you mentioned you're 28, above you, 31, and the oldest is close to around their 40s. And so that being said, for a state show this big, you would tend to think that you have high tenured older individuals included with that. So with you being a younger team, what are some of the pros that you've seen being closer to a modern generation, learning what's modern, what's new, and kind of implementing that to the state show?
I think that what's unique with us, every single one of us here grew up showing livestock of some sort. Some of us were a lot more competitive than the rest of us. Some of us were just happy if we got talked on the mic in the ring sometimes, or didn't get sifted, kind of. So, but we all grew up in that, and so we all know kind of how special those moments are, and it's kind of with us being a younger team. I think there's always that eagerness to, hey, how can we make this better, and how can we push a little bit farther. We're getting older and getting more and more tired as we go, but we're also we're young enough and have enough spry in us, I guess, that we can kind of keep pushing that envelope as far as we can, I think. But then we've also got Tyler and Melissa. Melissa has been here since 2001 when they first started. And Tyler was a couple years after that, but we've got enough of the old guard, if that makes sense, that they were there and they were the ones who first started the trophy drop. They were the ones who first brought the limo in. They were the ones who they built OYE and made it what it is today. And I think it's really important for us to keep that tradition, but always try to make it another step better. The Grand Drive, it's always, okay, how can we go one step farther? How can we, this last year we rigged OYE out of trussing, and then the last year we lit it up too, and then we had pyro behind it, and it was just there's just little things of what can you do that makes a little shock and awe moment for people, and how do you make that stage bigger and better every year for those kids when they crawl out of that limo. So
yeah, and it looks rowdy. When kids it looks, I'm all about it.
It's awesome. It is one of those moments the next day is a sale. So that would be day 11. So the Grand Drive is day 10 and you're exhausted by day 10. It is early mornings, late nights. But when those trophies drop, I never got to stand under those trophies and watch them, but you just see it. And it's I could go for another week. Let's just roll. Let's start another show. Let's keep on going. But it's a cool moment for those kids.
Yeah, and for you, it's just that intrinsic reward. And I think that's when you realize that what you're doing as a career, it's that in itself. It's a career you're passionate about. And I think that's something important to be able to, like you said, step it up each year, challenge your team, get everybody excited. And I think that excitement is what allows y'all to drive just go a step further each and every time. So that's really cool to hear that that you all have been participants before, but also y'all lead the way for the future to, hey, let's one up it one more time.
Well, and it's kind of fun too. We get to work with a lot of interns and whatnot throughout the year, whether it's OYE or Cattlemen's Congress or a couple of the other shows that we manage. But we tell our interns, we're like, hey, number one, you're going to do it. Every job that we ask you to do, we've done before, whether it's scoop and poop or lowering the trophies down or whatever it is, kind of. But we also tell them, we're like, you get to be a part of something really, really special that everybody here in Oklahoma knows about, but then everybody too in the livestock world knows about OYE in some form or fashion. And it's like, that's kind of it's cool to be a part of something kind of big like that, and then be able to give back to an industry that gave all of us so much, to be honest.
Well, that's a huge culture thing. I mean, OIE has created that culture, whether they're interns or whether it's with y'all. And I mean, everyone's got to beat into their heads like how important company culture is. But like, are are there other ways that OIE has implemented that culture? I mean, obviously you guys carry that pride and carry that passion with you, but that doesn't stick around if culture sucks. I mean,
well, and it's funny because I don't know that it's a really good thing we don't have HR in the office, because we're kind of closer to a family than we are maybe as coworkers, to be honest. We all kind of get a little smart with each other every now and then, but it's that, from that, like you're saying, with that culture of, we don't want to be beat, and we want to always be on that cutting edge. And I think that's just something that each and every one of us we're all kind of entrepreneurs in our own self, that a lot of us have our own, I've got my own business. We've got a lot of us who also have to work as lobbyists or consultants or things like that. But then there's some that are full time here with OYE in Congress. But we all want to make this better and make every show and every event that we put on a little bit better than last year. And it's we have docs. We run everything through Google, but before the show or before an event even starts, we have a doc that's like changes 2025 OYE, and it, like, the page is already 2 pages full right now of just things that you're like, what do we do? What do we do to make this better? Or what do we do that we did this year and that sucked, so we're not going to do that again, or whatnot. So it's like, so that, I don't know. I don't know how we keep that culture other than just keeping good people and having a good leader. Our president, Tyler, he is just very good at finding good people that are skilled in different areas, if that makes sense. He's really he's very charismatic, but he's very skilled at finding that team, if that makes sense. And he's put together what I think is a really good team with all of us, that we might kind of fight like brothers and sisters at times, but it's kind of it's a great atmosphere to work in for us. So probably not for everybody, but for most of us, it's pretty good. So
that is super cool.
And you all are in an industry which, it's an entertainment and somewhat, entertainment industry, but when many people think of stock shows, things like that, they don't think of the pizzazz, the big, big lights, music going on, limos, and that mainly may be the reason because they go to a traditional stock show, to where it probably hasn't changed much from what it was done in the 70s. So do you get a lot of different individuals from different shows that say, man, you guys do it great? How do you implement that? And if so, do you relay the information to them like, hey, content is king? We understand that a lot of people, whether that's in stock shows, colleges, different industries, they tend to do the same thing over and over and over. And so due to y'all's current, work area, y'all really do think out of the box. Explain a little bit more of like the importance of like, hey, step out of the box a little bit. Content is king. Like, do you have anything that really would help with that?
Yeah, I don't know if anything helps or whatnot, but we definitely, I feel like OYE, when OYE was formed as a 501c3, it broke the mold for livestock shows. There was nobody else who was setting it up foundationally like that. OYE also, Bob and Jimmy, their biggest thing is that we're an exhibitor friendly event. That is their first and foremost deal, is that we need to be exhibitor friendly. We need to be exhibitor focused. That's what also sets OYE apart, is that at the end of the day, we're not going to implement a rule that's out to get our exhibitors, or out to make it harder for our ag teachers or something. So that's kind of our founding principle, but they kind of broke the mold foundationally on how it was structured. And then we've kind of continued to break that mold, I would say, whether it's how we market the show or how the show operates as a whole. And then we've always tried to bring in 2020, we brought in the Ag Mechanics contest. 2022, we added a shotgun sports contest that happens later in the year. But to your point, Lauren, so we went from a livestock show company to an events company. I think we do like 8 events a year or something, between galas and fundraisers to stock shows to shotgun sports and everything in between, that all of us are sitting there going, I don't know a dang thing about shotgun sports, but sure, we'll put one on. And now we have the biggest one in the state. So it's like, okay, we can figure this out. So, but I think that there's always got to be a challenge. There's always got to be something new, and try, and we fail a lot of times. I mean, we'll try something, we'll design something, do something, shoot a video, and it will flop, and you go, okay, well, we're not going to do that again. But I think that's the fun part, to go back to culture, I guess, is that we're all of us here are able to say, hey, if it flops, we can admit that it flopped, and let's just move on. Let's just figure out how we don't do that again. Let's make it better next year, kind of a thing. So I don't know that there's any way. I don't know that I have any real advice on how you like break out of that mold, other than you need to. I would say there's that fear of change. Nobody likes change. One year we changed the music in the Grand Drive, and Thunderstruck only played for 30 minutes instead of 6.5 minutes while the limo parked. And oh my gosh, we got chastised for that. So Thunderstruck plays for 6 minutes while the limo parks now. So we just, but it's that I don't know, that there's nothing wrong with it, and the worst that can happen is that you pull back and say, well, let's re-rack for next year. Like, there's always another opportunity, and then also to trust those people that came before you too, and say, hey, we want to do this. But if they pull back and say absolutely not, you got to be able to trust them too, I think. So there's that. I think there's that, always that tug and pull, and everybody needs to pull, and you'll end up in the middle somewhere, and I think that's not a bad thing. So
yeah. So you talked a lot about like try things, and if they fail, it's okay, and you just move on. Something that you guys tried, and in my opinion, and I think in yours as well, that's been a wild success, has been those spotlights that I brought up a little earlier. What kind of feedback and buy-in have you seen from those spotlights of the kids and contestants?
Yeah, we've overwhelmingly, it's been great. People, we go out and we shoot these features with our exhibitors, and we normally try to find at least one per species every year, and be able to let them tell their story, basically. Let them tell how they grew, what they grew up, how they got into showing, what they show, what makes them tick, what their why is. We released one last night that kid Cooper Klein, he's a senior this year. He started showing sheep, fell in love with showing pigs. He's now raising 17 sows and farrowing out them. And then he's got boars, and he's selling semen on them and selling it all across the U.S. And he literally, in his last quote that we used, he literally goes, we're not in, he goes, we chase banners, we chase the sale, we chase all this, yes, but we're not in the livestock business, we're in the kid business, because we want to be able to, he goes, I want to be able to give back to our industry, give back to this next generation of kids, and this is what I want to be able to do for the rest of my life, is just be involved with them and help them out, kind of. And you're just like, you're sitting there going, you're a senior in high school and you've figured this out. Like, it's it's like, I don't know how anybody, whether you came from the livestock industry or the ag industry or not, doesn't watch that and just go, holy cow, that's 10
inspirational.
Yeah, it gave me chills, you saying it. I can't wait to watch the video and get the chills again. I mean, that's so cool.
He's a lot more eloquent than I am too. So, but yeah, but it's just, that's how I like to tell stories. That's my shooting my shooting style, videography, photography wise, is I want to hear from them. I want to put that face to it, because us at OYE, we can say it over and over and over, and until you beat a dead horse, but like there's no value in that. But when you've got other people and other kids saying, look at what we do, and this is what it takes for us to, this is, we learn hard work, we learn the value of being dedicated to something other than ourselves. We learn how to work as a team. We learn all of these life skills that we preach that you learn as through showing livestock. But when they say it, it's so much more impactful because they're learning it and living it every single day. So that's kind of what our goal has been with that. And then from there, with those features, we can turn them into a print story. We can turn them into a blog. We break it out into social media posts. And it's that telling that whole story and letting them share that through their own words. That's what we really enjoy.
And I think it also gives them more empowerment to be able to say it in front of a camera, gives them that confidence to just go out there and continue to do the amazing work that they're doing. So it knocks out two things. It teaches us, the viewers, more about them, but it also allows them to have a stage to be able to go up there and just say it with confidence, and then just go on and do great things. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a cool deal when they kind of light up, and it's just fun to see that. So anytime we can put them under that spotlight that they kind of deserve, that's what we really try to do. So
that's awesome. So what does OIE look like in 5 years? What are you wanting to accomplish in OIE that you hope, that you strive for?
Or are you just trying to get past this this next show?
Yeah, if I can get past the 22nd, that would be great here in March. But
fair enough. Take it day by day.
Yeah, day by day. I think we start moving into the fairgrounds on Monday, so it's a little bit busy right now. But 5 years from now, I know that everybody says growth is your goal and whatnot. I feel like that's kind of a cliche, but and whether actual physical growth is our goal or not, we're basically maxed out on the fairgrounds for our time slot that we've got. We can only fit so many pigs in a pen at this point, and we are on the top end of that. But and I don't know how you get any bigger unless people just keep on raising that many more livestock across the state. But I think our goal, and I don't really know exactly what that is, but I wouldn't have told you 5 years ago that we would have a shotgun sports contest or an AgMech contest, and today we do. I think that there will always be opportunities like that we are searching out, whether we're actively searching it or if it just falls in our lap and somebody goes, hey, you should do X, Y, and Z. And we go, let's give it a shot. Like if there's value there, and if we can reach more kids, whether they're rural or urban, we've got a lot of kids from Tulsa and Oklahoma City who show, and then that shotgun sports contest reached a whole nother group of ag and engineering type minded kids. And that's kind of our goal, is to get that pipeline of good kids through one of our programs that then they can go on to a university or trade school or whatever that is, and then go be successful, influential people in their work and in their careers and stuff. And so from our side, on a marketing side, I think our goal is just to keep promoting as best we can and keep telling those stories of those kids. But and then anytime that we can go showcase one of our kids that went through our program and then came back and has made an impact, I think that's another opportunity for us really to tell that story a lot better than what we have in the past, I think. So that's one place we've kind of lacked, and I'm hoping that we can step that up, and I just need to get out and shoot some more interviews. So if I can find a little bit of time and do that, that's what I really need to be doing. So
I mean, it's no secret, and I mean, I can hear it in your voice. I'm sure all our listeners can hear it in your voice, how much this matters to you. And so that can't be your answer, but I'm curious, what is your favorite part about your role? I mean, you talked about how much you love photography and videography, but I mean, you do so much more than that.
Golly.
I took your answer, didn't I?
No. Yes, you did. Gosh darn it. No. Honestly, my favorite part is my favorite part about OYE and the favorite part of my job is when I Actually, I've got two. I do have two. My favorite part is when you watch the kid who, all of these kids work hard. They all bust their butt. They're all in the barn every morning, every night. They all work hard. My favorite is not when the kid who wins the class, but the kid who stood fifth in a class of 60, who didn't know if they had a shot, but they make the sift, or they make the sift, they get talked on the mic, and they walk outside of that ring and they give their mom or dad the biggest hug in the world because they're just tickled pink that they made it on that. And then when we catch that on camera and you've got that hug and that reaction, it's like, it's so cool for me to see those kids, because that was me. Like, we never won. We never did. We were never on the top end of a big show. But when you had those moments of like, we just got talked on the mic, like, that is so big for those kids. I think that is the coolest part of my job, is when you get to see that, and you get to see that, hey, these guys came in with a great animal that they worked their butt off to get here, and they saw the success and they reached a goal, whether that was making it in the limo or they just reached their goal. I think that's really, really fun. The other part of my job that I love is, especially during OYE, we bring in a couple of interns every year, and then I've kind of built my core team of about 3 or 4 of us. But we've kind of got a small little war room shoved in the back of the main show office at OYE. That's kind of our comms room or whatnot. And over the years, my role has evolved. I used to be in charge of every lick of content that we put out on social and print and everything. And now I fight a lot of internet issues and things like that at the fairgrounds. So I'm not exactly the guy who's creating everything, but I'll walk into that office and I'll have 4 or 5 of our team just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. You got to watch this. And they've spent the last 2 hours building this video or building this TikTok or whatever this is, or they found these awesome photos or took these photos and they're like, this is going out in 15 minutes. This just went out and this next piece is coming out. And just to see them like all whirling and churning as a unit is just the coolest deal, because they're just ecstatic about all these moments that were captured, and then they get to share them with the world. And it's just kind of fun to see that like whirling and all those gears finally come together.
And I think that's where a lot of the creative brainstorming just flourishes. Ideas come up, excitement, and many different businesses do struggle with that. So to hear that your team constantly, with these shows go through that, that's a great thing to have internally. Now, if someone's wanting to learn more about OIE or have the opportunity in the future to do the internship, how can they go about to learn more about what you all have to offer?
Yeah, we've got, obviously online, we're okyouthexpo.com. We've got all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and YouTube as well. And I believe all those handles are OK Youth Expo. But yeah, so we've got a lot of little touch points there that they can learn more on. And then they're more than welcome to reach out to any one of us on staff. We're always happy to talk with anybody, especially if somebody's looking for an internship or an opportunity, or they're wanting to bring an OYE model to their state or whatnot. We've worked with lots of people in that exact instance and whatnot, so that way they can kind of bring this OYE model back home for them. So
have you been asked quite a bit from different shows, like, what can we do? And many of the times, and the reason why I ask is because I know certain businesses might tend to say, no, this is ours, don't want to share it, and they're reluctant to. But we understand that that's how, by implementing it, I mean, granted, you guys are the biggest in Oklahoma, so it's like that kind of puts motivation behind you to be like, oh, we got to step it up because people are seeing what we're doing. So it kind of lights a fire in both parties, to try something newer.
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't want to be outdone. That's for sure. But
yeah,
but no, we worked with a lot. Actually, one of our former employees, Whitney Walker, back in, I believe, 2018, 2019, they formed the Arkansas Youth Expo based on our model. And she's back home running that show right now, but it's the same 501c3, same type of deal. They mimic a lot of what we do, but which is great. I mean, those kids in Arkansas need a venue similar to OYE and a platform like that they can showcase their kids just the same way we do with ours. We actually do the same thing for a show out in California that we manage, the California Youth Ag Expo. That started we started that for them in 2020 when the state shut down. We came in with that same model and have been able to put on a show out there. And then I know there's, I think Mississippi has a similar model. And then a handful of others are popping up too. So, I mean, it's the more the merrier. I mean, at the end of the day, if we can get more kids in a great exhibitor friendly atmosphere, that's where they're going to thrive. And that's what we need across the whole US. So
there's a lot to be learned by that mentality, that it's not just about Oklahoma ag youth. It is about ag youth. And not just even specifically to ag, but in any type of business. Obviously understand, there are things that occur that are high competitor scenarios, but when it comes to kids, when it comes to what you guys have created, it's about ag youth, and it doesn't matter where you live.
Yep. That's nothing that we do here is special, I would say, to be honest. Like we do some
I disagree, but
yeah, y'all need to go look at these YouTube videos. They're phenomenal.
Well, but there's nothing that we do that's like, oh my gosh, you can't replicate that, or you can't find somebody to get. There's people way more talented than I am behind a camera. There's people that can build a schedule that fits and works and do. There's all these. There's people who can put on a huge fundraising gala. Like there's great people out there across the world that are able to do things better than what we probably can. We've just got a really good team that all kind of jive and work together, and away we go. But our model is just, we broke the mold, but you're able to replicate it, and that's something that, I mean, there's no trade secrets there. It's a great model, and it's worked really, really well for Oklahoma, and it can work everywhere else too. So they just don't always have what we have, and that's Bob Funk and Jimmy Harrell. They've put a lot of time and resources behind it to make it what it is, and that's honest to gosh. Tyler, he always tells people, he's like, yeah, you guys want to start one, and that's great. He goes, but it'll never be OYE, and they kind of look at him and go, well, that's kind of pompous, or that's kind of proud. And he's like, you don't have Bob Funk and you don't have Jimmy Harrell. And it's absolutely true. So they put their money where their mouth was, and they made it what it is today. And now we're sailing high, flying high. So it's kind of it is a great deal. So we're very, very lucky here in Oklahoma to have it. So.
There you go, folks. Step up y'all's donors.
Step
Get
it
the
up.
donors. Think Ian's you gonna make it, buddy?
I think I was good. I thought I was going to make it, but now I look like I'm really embarrassed, and I'm all teared up because of what OYE does for the kids.
Great stories. Those great.
It's touching. So touching. Well, I might have to get this last question in for Ian. I don't know if he's going to make it through.
I think I got it. Sorry, guys. So we ask everybody that we talk to the same question. It's something that we find a lot of value in. We love hearing these answers. And it's, what's a piece of advice that you'll never forget?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't know that I'm not a big advice quote guy, kind of. I really am not. I never have been too much, but I do have one. I don't know, maybe it is life advice or whatnot, or just musings or whatnot. But I'm going to preface this with, I grew up on my family's wheat and cattle operation. I've got two younger brothers and 3 cousins that are basically siblings too. We all grew up right there and worked together every single day. And we grew up, and the farm was always priority number one for us. We all worked on the farm. That was number one thing that we had to do. But my mom and dad worked really, really hard on the farm, but also they wanted to invest in us, and they, whatever us boys wanted to do, they were going to do 110% to make sure we were as successful as we could be within our means and whatnot. For me and my youngest brother, it was showing cattle. For my middle brother, it was baseball and basketball. And so they put hundreds of thousands of miles on vehicles and spent way too much money on cattle and equipment and whatnot for us to go do this. But when we were little, sports were kind of all of our things. And I think when I was 8 or 9, we grew up in a small town, and they needed somebody to step up and take over the Little Dribblers basketball league and the baseball league and whatnot. And so mom and dad stepped up and did that. And right as they took that over, and they ran it for over 10 years, I think, both of those. But as they did that, one of our neighbors, Eric Wyberney, he was in charge of it before mom and dad were, and he hands off all this stuff to dad, and he goes, Jeff, you're going to learn real fast that 10% of the people do 90% of the work. And I don't say that to sound condescending or whatnot, but we kind of were raised that we needed to be part of that 10%. We want to work. We're going to work hard. We're going to play hard, but we're going to outwork. We might not be the most skilled, but we're going to outwork you as best we can. And that's what our value was. And so that's kind of been something that's always stuck with me, is let's be that 10%. And then I'm also going to throw this out here too. I think that's what kind of makes us special here at OYE, is that I think all of us here always want to be that 10%, always want to do that. And then we also always like to work with people who are a part of that 10%, who work harder and do great work. And we like to partner with people like that. I'm going to shout out here to you guys at Slate Group, because I think you guys are part of that 10%, because there's so much value in working with people that care and take pride in what they do and step up, because we all make mistakes. We're not perfect. We all have challenges. We all have struggles, but it's how much that extra work, that extra care that goes into stuff. And I think that's what really separates the cream from the crop on that, because we all have talent, we all have skills, but without the hard work, I don't think you can ever make it where you truly need to be in that regard. So I don't know if that's good life advice. That's kind of
that's fantastic life advice.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love it.
And that's honestly something that a lot of our other individuals who have been on the show, that same grit style has really allowed them to go above and beyond. I mean, many of them may have an imposter syndrome, thinking like, man, I'm not worthy enough, or I shouldn't be here, but I'm going to do what I can since I do have the platform. And, looking from the outside in, it's like, that blows our mind, because there's a reason why you're in your position. There's a reason why you're being, other people we've interviewed are being asked to go speak at these conferences. And so it all comes down to, like you said, being that 10% to go be a doer, not just say you're going to do something, but actually execute it. So
Don Denny is for sure one of those 10%. He had something on his printer for years, I think until the printer died. And it said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. He did. Yeah, it was the harder I work, the luckier I get. And you saw it every time you walk past his office. And so thank you for that shout out. We really do appreciate that. And but it comes from the top. I mean, you get someone who works hard like that, then, people gravitate like that towards people like that. So, well, JD, man, thank you.
Yeah, it was great to get a face to a name, because a lot of times around here you do hear OYE, JD, and it was a privilege to get to know.
A bunch of cuss words going, golly.
No. It's more of, did we take care of JD? Okay. OYE, good. So, no, I mean, all positive, and
we really, really do. So
cool. Man, JD, thanks so much for your time today. We enjoyed the conversation. I hope our listeners have enjoyed it as well. If y'all want to get a hold of JD, Google's name. Oklahoma Youth Expo. Y'all, thanks so much for listening in today. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Binding Minds Podcast. See you next time.